Hello, how are you? Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thank you.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you good.
Great. Want me to go ahead and share my screen?
Yes, please.
Great. Can you see everything okay?
Yeah, we can see everything okay. Yes, please go ahead.
Great. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being with you guys today, and thank you for everyone for joining my session today. My name is Demetrios Skalkotis. I'm the global head of Ledger Vault. Ledger Vault is the enterprise security digital asset storage platform that is part of Ledger's overall business. Before I get started, I would love to give you a brief overview of Ledger. Hopefully you are all familiar with the company. We are a 5-year-old security blockchain company that protects customer endpoints for any critical digital asset for the retail individual as well as enterprise market. Ledger manufactures the retail hardware devices, hardware wallets called the Nano S and the Nano X. We manufacture them out of our Verzon, France facility. We have sold over 2 million of our hardware wallet nanos in over 165 different countries. And from the spawn of that came the Ledger Vault, which is the enterprise business that I currently manage and run today. Ledger has approximately 200 employees headquartered in Paris, France. Again, with offices in Verzon where we manufacture. We have offices in Hong Kong, Singapore, and in New York where I reside. So moving on, today I will be focusing on the Ledger Vault Enterprise business and providing you an overview of the custodial landscape as we see it today. One point to make is that Ledger Vault is not a regulated custodian. Ledger is the technology infrastructure for custodians, exchanges, crypto hedge funds, and asset managers. We're part of the digital plumbing. We are a tech infrastructure player that for folks that want to self-manage their own assets, or if they want to offer a custodial service into the marketplace today. So currently today, as we see the financial industry, as we're going through a very unique revolution in time with the development of all the blockchain technologies, both public and private chains. This is really allowing this revolution to really create new asset classes, have they be crypto asset classes, security tokens, digital apps, and also central bank digital currencies. We're seeing a flux of new assets, and the financial industry is really trying to currently adjust to this. It'll be difficult for the traditional firms to embrace the new technology until some of these operational risks are addressed, and I'm going to outline those operational risks next in my next slide. So what we're seeing is some very unique things that are going on within the traditional finance stuff, and these critical digital assets are these new operational risks. Key management is considerably important in this, as well as irrevocability of transactions. And until some of these operational risks are addressed and identified and regulatory compliance around these things take shape, you're seeing the new entrepreneurial companies forging this ground, but you're also seeing the traditional financial service assets trying to evaluate, can I use this new technology and take how we've done things traditionally in traditional tradable assets, and can they convert to a digital form? And I think we're starting to see some of that. So these new operational risks with the new blockchain technology and the crypto assets and the security tokens, these things all are new play. With new technologies always come new risks and always new things to be prepared to manage in order for massive full adoption. So obviously key management is key. The private keys for individuals and for institutions, the governance rule about managing those keys and allowing people to use those keys are key from a security standpoint. Also, the irrevocability of a transaction. Once a transaction is made, is currently impossible to reverse. And then the openness of the network. For both public and private change, you may know who you're working with or may not know completely who's leveraging that particular chain. And all those new risks pose new threats for like the traditional financial markets. The custody industry landscape is kind of really driven by, three main trends. There's a lot of trends, but there's probably three main trends. Obviously, beyond BTC, Bitcoin is our largest asset class, the most predominant asset class, one people talk about a great deal, but you're starting to see movement with additional asset class. Again, the forefront of stable coins, central bank digital currencies, tokenization of assets, have it be real estate, art, or traditional bonds and other asset classes that are going to convert into a digital form. Regulation is still in progress around the globe. You're seeing each jurisdiction come out with their own guidelines, their rules, how they view this particular new asset class and sector. And you're probably starting to see how those rules will be guided towards and mimic some of the existing rules that we have around the globe in our existing financial infrastructure and how those existing rules take shape today. And then obviously the higher operational requirements, without compromising, on security, it's really key to make sure in this new asset class you have end-to-end security. Both the security needs to be prevalent when assets are at rest and not moving, but also more importantly, they're extremely secure when they're in motion. Have they be in a staking environment, lending environment, trading environment, or what have you. So these keys to success are going to be these three things are going to be keys to moving this industry forward. What we're seeing now is two strategies at work. We're obviously seeing the opportunistic entrepreneurial firms, these early adopters that could be primarily security firms, technology firms, crypto exchanges that have been first movers in offering trade execution, but offering a custodial service along with that trade and lending execution platforms. While the traditional actors are thinking about this asset class and should I build something myself? Should I buy something myself? Or should I partner with someone in this particular space? You're starting to see movement from the traditional actors getting into the space. But I think you're going to need to see some more regulatory guidance for kind of full, mass adoption from the traditional firms, what we're seeing at place here. This space, as we all know, is very, very young. The industry started out is relatively young, 15 years old, predominantly retail, and with the advent of the institutional landscape, has really only been the last few years where you're starting to see more and more institutional adoption into this particular asset class. And with the institutional adoption, needs that digital plumbing infrastructure that needs to be in place in order for the institutions to come in and be a part of this this service. What are the clients' real needs around these new asset classes? I kind of highlighted what I think are the top five that are really driving either adoption into the space or hesitation, but these things will be addressed to have further adoption. Obviously, security is key. None of our clients want their assets taken in any way, shape, or form. The governance rules about the tech around how can I have segregation of duty, how can I make sure that people are approving actions or transactions that are qualified and approved to do so. The flexibility around this industry is open to other solutions, right? You want to make sure that you're building an ecosystem for others to connect into it, whether they be exchanges, clearinghouses, settlement houses, tax and audit systems, fund administration services are all going to be integral to building the secure ecosystem for the custodial landscape. Obviously, speed of execution. How quick can we transact? But it's not just speed, but also security that goes with that speed, and making sure that we're leveraging the governance rules in the speed of execution. And I added the fifth one from an insurance perspective. Obviously, we want to make sure that this industry is properly covered, has the proper protections in place for assets that are both, again, at rest and in motion. And I think all these five characteristics, we're starting to see further advancement in each of them, and we're starting to see further adoption in the custodial space. Currently today, we've in what we've seen in some of the technologies that are at play and that have come out in this entrepreneurial environment to offer a custodial service into the space has really been about cold and hot platforms, and this characterization of technology to me, I think, is really obsolete. We really need to be changing the paradigm and how we build technology, both from a hardware and a software perspective, that allows our platforms to emulate secure, very cold technology or very warm liquidity management tools or hot wallet characteristics, and you're not compromising on security in each one of those fashions. So I'll break down some of the difficulties in what we're dealing with today in some of these characteristics of cold and hot. From a cold storage perspective, yes, early onset, things are completely 100% online. They have a tendency to feel that they're more secure, but in reality, these types of solutions do not really offer a great deal of flexibility. They're not really offer a great deal of liquidity. Obviously, speed is crippled in this standpoint because it takes anywhere from 4 to 48 hours to get assets out of cold storage. And also, then you have to have a need for some type of human interaction. And now in this pandemic COVID world that we're adjusting to in our new reality, it's very difficult if you're having your assets in a cold storage device that could be in your office or in a facility that you're not allowed to access anymore due to quarantine issues or what have you. So it's really provided us a new way of thinking of how can we use technology to our advantage to possibly take the best of something that could be offline, but really, and making sure it's extremely secure but accessible when needed, and eliminating that human interaction and that threat. So some of the new solutions and the new paradigm that I really want you to start thinking about are really around, what I would classify as temperature agnostic. We really need to change the reference of it's not really hot or cold or warm. It's really temperature agnostic. You should be able to, with technology, a secure technology platform, design your infrastructure to where it emulates the best of cold storage and emulates the best of a hot wallet. And each wallet should have its own governance rules and principles allowing you to act accordance with your desired structure for each particular wallet. So, and that's really the new point of reference, frame of reference that we're trying to get across from from Ledger's perspective and some of the other peers in the space that are providing a much more temperature agnostic platform that customers can specifically design to their security specifications. So let's forget the distinction between kind of hot and cold wallets. We're wanting to make sure things are secure. And again, Ledger is a security company first and foremost. So when we view creating a hardware wallet for an individual or wallet platforms for institutions, it's with that security mindset first and foremost. So again, things need to be secure at rest. You need to make sure, and they need to be secure in motion. And in between there, all the wallets, the governance, the transaction enforcements, transaction verifications, and all the printing to the blockchain, that whole process needs to be extremely secure. So you're eliminating any particular man-in-the-middle attacks, single points of failure, all throughout this continuum of how we're going to be securing our assets and moving our assets around. These are a few of the players that are in the space. Some are offering parcel solutions in the space where they're providing just secure signing of transactions, whereas the full solutions on the right of the page really are providers of a full tech stack solution from a both hardware, software perspective, key generation, governance rules, and also building the nodes and explorers for transactions, to the blockchain. Ledger has developed this technology that is a combination of both hardware and software, and we provide kind of end-to-end security for the assets at rest and in motion. We're eliminating, again, any man-in-the-middle attack, any single points of failure, and any human intervention that could provide any collusion issues, security collusion issues. There's, in order to move assets within the Ledger Vault infrastructure, you need multiple approvers to do so, or you need to be able to set the governance rules that will go to a specified kind of hard-coded whitelisted account. So we take every measure that we possibly can to make sure that, again, assets are secure at rest and in motion, and every step along the way of getting it in motion. So the next generation of the custody industry will only thrive if you're having the same level, of security that we have currently today in our traditional landscape, and I would say even more security. Ledger, is in the security business. That's what we are. We are a security company first and foremost. We're here to protect any digital asset. Again, we mean to be agnostic, whether it's a crypto asset, a real estate asset, a security token asset. We're asset agnostic is our plan and goal, and we want to make sure that we're securing each and every one of our customers' desired assets that they want to protect, both, again, at rest, and in motion. And being a security company first, Ledger has its own security division. We have roughly 10 to 12 people that make up the London Dungeon. It is our own internal attack lab at Ledger. We have our own red and blue team that tests every aspect of technology, both hardware and software, that's in part of the Ledger infrastructure from a retail and institutional perspective. But first and foremost, we also test a lot of the other products that are in the space. We want the space to thrive. We want the space to succeed. We want the space to flourish and become mainstream. And in some of our external testing, we did find 14 vulnerabilities in commonly used HSM technologies. We obviously responsibly disclosed to those particular vendors, worked with them in patching those particular vulnerabilities, in such making the entire asset class and the entire industry better for our dungeon activity. So this is one of our key components that Ledger has in both making sure the industry security is up to par and helping people with their vulnerabilities, but also testing everything that we produce that comes out from Ledger in our environment. Now, it's never been so important to create the next generation technologies, and that's what we feel, Ledger is doing. We are at the forefront as a security technology provider to address both the retail components and the institutional needs of this fabulous market that we are currently serving today. Whether it's individual retail hardware wallet security component or an institution where we're providing an institutional custody platform for a bank, all those needs, are the same. We are here to provide the security digital plumbing for the industry so it can scale and it can become more mainstream. That concludes my presentation. Again, I'm Demetrios Global Head of Ledger Vault, and I thank you for your time and listening to my presentation.